All right. A call to order the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners formal session for September 21st, 2023. It is 10 o'clock in the morning. And before we jump into this, I just want to remind everyone there is an executive session immediately following this formal session. And the purpose is to conduct deliberations with persons designated to carry on labor negotiations. So I will lead us in the flag salute. If we can all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there anything for the calendar session? Anything to add?
Possibly. I don't know if the NREC dinner tomorrow is on there or if either you plan on going.
It was on there.
Is it? Yep, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, and nothing for next week. Okay. Item D is public comment. This time period is reserved for public comment on any topic other than an agenda item, a quasi judicial land use matter, or a topic scheduled for a public hearing. So I will call for public comment in the audience or online. Please raise your virtual hand. Okay, hearing none, I do want to acknowledge that we've received quite a bit of emailed comment regarding a collective bargaining agreement, as well as a comment that was supposed to be in last week's meeting from the Novaks regarding the Panther Creek Mountain Biking Park and the plan for the park up on near the Ball Bearing Hill, but on BLM land. So there's quite a bit of concern that this project is a bit further along than we were made aware of. And as you recall, this is the bike park that came up during our High Heaven Road Gate discussion. I guess I'm looking for a little bit of guidance, commissioners, on how we want to proceed in gathering more information, because it seems like the public is completely unaware of what the status of this project is. Does anybody have any ideas of, maybe we invite BLM to talk about it, maybe we invite Cycle Oregon or some of the folks that are clearly involved?
Chair, when I received that email, and apologies for it not getting into the packet last week, but for some reason it went to everybody's spam. But fortunately, Ms. Novak's followed up and we did find out she had sent it in fact. So it really did outline, again, to your concerns about the questions about that this project is farther along and we really didn't know anything about it. I'd like to know a little bit more, both from BLM and from anyone, I think, who's had a stake in this so far, at least to give us an understanding of what's going on. And I think it would also be important for people in the community to know what the plans are and what's been going on actually for quite some time.
Okay. So that looks like maybe an invitation to come and present and then notification to the public.
I would think so.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, I can follow up. It's pretty clear who's, involved in terms of the board for I think it's a nonprofit that they set up to sort of oversee this project. So I can reach out to them and find a time and put it on the calendar.
Thank you.
Okay. Item E is item E is department updates. We have nothing today. Oh, wait. Nothing today. Okay. Item F is our work session. There's nothing today. Item G is consent agenda. Looks like there's a couple of things on consent. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Item H, old business. H1 is discussion regarding the potential closure of High Heaven Road Gate. And this is continued from September 14th of 2023. So just a couple of brief updates. There hasn't been a huge leap forward in terms of progress. It's been a busy week. But I did talk to Christian about there's two different permits that sort of govern this gate. And we're going to look at potentially just amending the permit. That would be the fastest, sort of simplest way to do this. And I want to make sure that I'm clear as to the consensus of what the procedure looks like from the discussion that we had. So there was a little bit of discussion about, do we set up a committee to figure out, when these things close, when they open, or do we simply just set the bar at when we reach moderate level, they're allowed to close them. And then when fire season is quote unquote over, which is consistent regionally, then they open.
Set by Oregon Department of Forestry,
Yes,
Mike's team.
yes.
Okay.
And so the reason I say that is because typically ODF just determines what it is, and then they work with Weyerhaeuser or Hampton or whoever to open and close gates. So we wouldn't really be involved in that process, which it sounds like, Commissioner Starrett, from your comments, that's fine. We don't want to be involved necessarily on a yearly basis, but is that the consensus that you understood?
I trust Mike's team to make the decision on
Okay.
when and where.
Okay.
Or not where, when.
Right.
Where
Okay.
and where.
So I'll follow up with Christian on maybe how we word that to make sure it's, clear. And then the other part was the cost of the locks and retrofitting the gates.
Mhm.
Are we comfortable? I want to make sure we have consensus, or if we need a vote, I don't know, but if we split that a third between Weyerhaeuser, Hampton, and the county.
I'm okay with that, but it sounded like Weyerhaeuser was willing to foot the bill on the install on that.
The emails that we had after the tour indicated that they are on board with cost sharing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's not a huge expense. They estimated roughly 3,000. But I just want to make sure that that's okay.
Yep.
There's consensus.
Yes.
Do we need a vote on that? Okay.
No, but if there's a particular area, I can look if you have a specific account in mind, but otherwise, if there's consensus that the county will cover that, I'll look at probably one of the discretionary accounts or possibly talk to Mark on whether or not that's an eligible expense. I don't, for gas tax, but my first reaction would probably be to use like an ONC or landfill license reserve or one of those funds, if you're okay with that.
Okay, so we will work on those things and continue that discussion to September 28th. That's 7 days, September
Supposed to get
28th.
an inch of rain Monday, Tuesday, so.
We might float away before then. Okay. Okay, so item I1 is other business. I1 is consideration of approval of amendment number 1 to an agreement between Yamhill County Health and Human Services and Genoa Healthcare LLC and Genoa Telepsychiatry. That word does not like me. So did I say that right? Telepsychiatry Inc. Board Order 20-404, updating rates to telehealth psychiatric medical services, retroactive to September 11th, 2023.
Chair, I would move approval of item I1.
Okay, any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. I2, consideration of approval of intergovernmental grant agreement number 180127 between Yamhill County and the Oregon Department of Human Services for the financing of community Developmental Disabilities Program Services retroactive to July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2025.
I would move approval of item I2.
Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Great, thank you. Motion passes. I3, consideration of approval of service element prior authorization or SEPA number 719-02907 in the amount of 200.
Mhm.
Is it 260 million?
Mhm.
Okay, I thought I saw 260,000, but that's probably,
I thought it was a mistake, but I looked at everything and the number
Mhm.
adds up.
Yep.
that is
you
right.
did
Okay.
that up.
In the amount of $260,327,588.67 under agreement number 157846 between Yamhill County Health and Human Services and the Department of Human Services for the financing of the Community Developmental Disabilities Program.
Chair, I would move approval of item I3.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Hang on.
Sorry.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
Oh.
This is a huge number, so I just, and
Yeah.
it's more education.
Take action on. I don't want to get back.
Do we need the,
I mean, it all added up on the spreadsheet, but it's still like a very large number and I just want a little more background on it, I guess, on what it's for. Is it like insurance for health and human services?
I want to jump in here while you're looking that up, Ken, but when you look at those service element, basically those are those prior authorizations. Those are usually pretty much passed through to clients who are utilizing those funds for very expensive ongoing, whether it's in-home care or if you have a particular need that's extremely expensive, but it's not something that in other words, we're doling out. It's a prior authorization for them.
To the state, correct?
The state
Mhm.
is what's funding that
Right, okay.
to the client
Okay.
through us, through, in this case.
And we're filing that claim with the state on behalf of the client, correct?
And so like in this particular case, through the DD program, if there are clients under that, under that umbrella, they are under that service element. So they're receiving the funds for very, very expensive ongoing types of care. So that's why you'll see a number of these come through throughout the year that are perhaps maybe one isn't in DD, but it would also be a very high dollar amount. And when you see like in each particular client's case, what those dollar amounts, one client could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's in the course of that year.
Hmm.
So I don't know if
The numbers are correct.
Okay.
okay. Did you have further questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Commissioner? Okay. Motion, we had a motion? Yes. Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Right, thank you. Motion passes. Public hearings, there's nothing today. That brings us to announcements. Commissioner, you want to talk about yesterday?
Oh, sure. Yesterday, we went out on site to Yamhill County's Whiteson property. Did a little tour of the old Monroe boat landing. We're still trying to figure out exactly where the landing is. We have a few ideas, but I need to do a little more homework there to kind of get that fine tuned and dialed in. Maybe Ken can make a trip out there one day and be like, yep, it's right there. Have a little bit of permitting process that we'll have to go through. We have to reach out to, for far as next steps as we progress here, we're gonna have to reach out to Confederated Tribes and start the process for that. Other than that, super cool property. Did a little tour down there and it went well. And quite a few people showed up. I think there's 20 some people that showed up for it.
I think you're being very humble, Commissioner, because I had been at that Whiteson Park once I found it again, and thank you for your indulgence in getting me there. took a village. But about 9 years ago, I attended a Parks Board meeting there and it was an entirely different tour. So I think it's probably a good idea that people know that their tax dollars, they're getting more for their money because of the work that you're doing. You took a cat and a bulldozer and cleaned out the area to the point that it was actually, we were able to traverse it in, again, equipment that you brought last night on a trailer for everyone to get in various conveyances and go through difficult terrain. And to look through where we could at the viewpoints to see where the river was. Someone from the Marine Board was there and explained a lot about the navigation components of that. So I just want to say that I have enormous respect for the work that you have done and for your wife, Carol Lee, who goes along on all these journeys, because you will never say it, but you spent, I don't know how many days out there clearing brush that you couldn't get through. So here's a park, a county park that we haven't been able to use. That's a beautiful property. So thank you for reinvigorating this park and getting it to a place where we might be able to go down there. It was really impressive. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was fun to hear too about the water trail concept.
Yes.
My husband's very excited about that.
The
so.
Marine Board being there was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
She's gonna be able to connect a lot of dots for us
Yeah.
and save us some time, but end up costing us some time in the end because we have to go through certain hoops to, as we progress to
Right.
hopefully get this open back up to the public, but lots of insight, very interesting
Yeah.
to hear about the
Potential float.
well, but I didn't know that, and I guess it's like underground rafting, but there's a stage 3 and a stage 4 rapid
Yeah.
at
Up
certain
near,
times of the year
Willamina.
on the Southampton Hill.
I would like to know where that is. Is she giving us specifics?
Maybe she'll take you for a ride. I don't know. Or
She also talked about the difference between boatable and navigable. So you might have to take your kayak or your canoe out, walk a little bit and then get back in. So it's not like a continuous navigation, but it was really exciting. That could be huge.
I max out at class 3. I won't go on either.
Yeah. I'm good just because of temp of water for rafting. I'm good. I call it good right there.
I'll watch. Okay.
The other thing I had was Parkway met this morning, and it's pretty much the same thing. It's McDougal interchange funding for bypass. It's still hung up.
No movement on the labor.
No movement on labor.
Jeez.
They're talking a little bit more positive, but they're still not even anticipating going out for bid until next spring now, or still. McDougal interchange still has the 4 million for design. They're progressing with that. They're gonna I connected Anna with ODOT to Mark Lago so they can start communicating, because those are county roads that are interacting with 99, and as they redo all that, they need to, our public works needs to know what's going on. And then brought up Lafayette Highway and 18 interchange again, and where we're at in the process there. And it sounds very promising. Right now, it's at the top of the list for funding, so they feel pretty good about that. That will get done with the roundabout by 2026. I think they said construction should start. So, but that's pretty much the same update as last month. And that's all I got.
Lafayette City Council meeting last Thursday night. We were all there watching. And Councilor Lee Gilgan brought forward a proposal that would roll the water rates back to what they were last year, and then tack on a $20 monthly charge where $15 of that would go towards the debt service on the intertie with Mac Water and Light, and then $5 would go to contingency for whatever infrastructure needs they have. So I think that was pretty well received. Obviously it passed the council, and I felt like most people walked away satisfied. Still a lot of a lot of concern about how they got to that point, but so far, it seems like everyone's accepting the solution. And then Oregon Supreme Court Chief Justice Megan Flynn, we met with her yesterday, so that was nice to have her visit the courthouse and see what our facility looks like and talk about some of the logjam in the funding streams from the state to replace courthouses or remodel or retrofit, make them safe. And we've had those discussions at AOC. So hopefully they took some notes and we can make some progress on that in the next session. That's all I have for announcements. Commissioner, anything?
Yes, I meet monthly with Orman Fredericks from Oregon Department of Human Services, and my focus with him is on trying to recruit and retain foster parents and also make sure that the kids we do have in foster care in Yamhill County are not placed in hotels, not placed out of state. And we talked about the nexus between foster children and homelessness, and how typically if you go out into a homeless community, you're going to find that upwards of 20% of them have been in foster care. And so we're trying to address that on this end, keep the kids in the home with support so that they're not winding up in these situations. The other concern is, I believe that we do have 96 kids in care in the county, but in, for instance, Marion County, there are kids who are not able to be placed in a home situation. They have such challenging behaviors that they are ongoing in motels with 2 caseworkers. And these children exhibit very sometimes violent behaviors. And so it really is a situation of what do we do with children who are this challenged and damaged. So we're just working on that. The other thing is I went and visited the Newburgh schools with Superintendent Phillips, and he'll be coming on October 5th with the mayor of Newburgh, just looking at some options for using the schools for childcare options. And also want to thank the folks who came and gave haircuts at Provoking Hope. We set something up so that we had stylists from Radical Rubies in McMinnville, and we had one from Newburgh come and give haircuts and set up shop at Provoking Hope. And we had a lot of folks in recovery who came in and were very, very grateful that they had the opportunity to get a haircut, something simple like that. And wrote a letter of support for Provoking Hope. They are trying to get a grant for an educational assistant. And if you spend any time sitting there in the lobby of Provoking Hope, a lot of folks come in with job applications and questions and gut literacy issues. So maybe this will help them get GEDs and move ahead in that process.
Great. Busy week.
Busy week.
All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order? No? All right. I will adjourn the Yamaha County Board of Commissioners formal session for September 21st, 2023. It is 10:23. Thank you.